Hey everybody, Noble Comics here with another episode of Comicsgate Cagematch. I believe this is episode 4. And today we have Richard C. Meyer, your boy Zack, Silkworm from the Jawbreaker series versus Mike S. Miller's Lonestar. And again, I always give a little understanding of what I have and haven't read between these. And I've read Lonestar, Heart of the Hero, the first issue. And I have read Jawbreaker's God King. And then all the other information I pull here will just be other stuff that I've found online. But I've read a full issue of each. And as I've said before, God King isn't really an introductory issue. It kind of relies on you having read the first one. But Lonestar seemed like a pretty good introduction to the character and what his limits are. So I think that I've got a pretty good feel for the guys. So let's see what we have. As always, this is the arena. It is based on the Roman Colosseum. We have one contender on each side. Oh, before we do that, one on each side. It's about 600 feet by 500 feet. Each of these pillars, these X's, represents a stone pillar. These are all torches along the wall and a pool of water in the center. They start on each side, spawn in, and recognize each other as enemies, and they fight. So, starting off with Silkworm. Superhuman strength, super silk creation, superhuman durability, military training. So, what we know about him and the Jawbreakers is they were ex-military who have some superhuman abilities. And then they formed this mercenary group known as the Jawbreakers. So, military as well as superhuman. We see here some examples from Jawbreaker's Lost Souls that I could find of his silk creation. He made parachutes strong enough to lift this jeep and drop it onto the ground. Paraglider for himself, parachutes for his teammates. And in God King, we see him create a cocoon for Cuffs, and I'm not sure if it was meant to be like a healing cocoon or if it's just, to keep him there. But that will play an important part too, because we see Cuffs rip out of it, so we know that he can create this silk and he can have it fade away whenever he wants, but it's also not super strong. It can be tore open by someone with superhuman strength, and Cuffs does seem to be the strongest of the group. He, with one punch, knocks out this giant gorilla, this King Kong gorilla's eye. So we know he's at least the strongest in the group. And he could tear out of it. Here we see some durability, as well as, you could say, fighting prowess. This is from Grand Bazaar, the third Jawbreakers book that hasn't come out yet at the time of recording, but here's a page from it that shows Cuffs and Silkworm's first interaction together. And we see them fighting down in this pit, both trading blows with each other. And at this point, this is after they had died on the fields of Afghanistan and find themselves in the Grand Bazaar. Wailing on each other. So we can see that Silkworm does have some, not only superhuman strength, but durability, trading blows with, like I said, the physically strongest character on their team. And an important distinction is, you look at what does superhuman strength mean? Are we talking, Captain America, or we're talking like Luke Cage strength? And while it is not perfectly clear, we do see Cuffs again knock the eye out of that giant gorilla, punch him, knock his eye out in one punch. I believe we see him pulling a vehicle at some point, pulling a vehicle forward. And then we see people like Silkworm. We'll see here. This was in God King. He throws this guy through a car and then jumps and does like a super jump and smashes him to the ground. So the strength seems to be more than that of like a Captain America, I would say. Throws this guy, 50, 100 feet through this car, and then super jump, smashes him into the ground, breaking the ground beneath him. Seems to be superhuman. as well as, like I said, trading blows with someone else stronger. Okay, so that's Silkworm. I think we've got a pretty good feel of durability and strength, fighting skill, kind of, but you know, let's jump over to Lonestar. So we see some similar themes here: superhuman durability, strength, martial arts skills, fear sense. Now, these two characters are both kind of, I guess you could say, ex-military. I know they still do sort of this mercenary or military type work, but ex-military. And then here we've got Lonestar. Now, again, some of these are grabbed from the PDF of Lonestar Heart of the Hero. If they're a little blurry, this is just straight from the PDF comic. Now, this scene, he's landing on this drug dealer, criminal, MS-13 type criminal, drops off of a building and crushes him into the ground. So we at least know from a scene like this, superhuman durability, because that drop from the top of the building would have, you know, easily broken both his legs. But he's perfectly fine, so we know he's at least enhanced. We see him fighting multiple opponents at once, able to dispatch all of them. He's an expert marksman, obviously. He fights like, you know, 8 guys, beats them all up, but they're all, you know, regular humans. He doesn't have a problem. We see him easily breaking arms and breaking wrists, which would hint at some superhuman strength. Though, I believe if you saw the same scene, but you replaced Lonestar with, like, Batman, then it would just seem like a regular human. So I don't know if you'd say he's obviously superhuman because he has the, you know, superhuman durability, but I'll say superhuman strength. And then we see, you know, a shot like this, knocking this is a regular guy's tooth out. And this is kind of where I want to make the distinction between like superhuman or enhanced strength. It's kind of a tough call because, you know, I think, you know, if Captain America just punched this guy in the face, obviously filled with rage, that guy'd probably be dead. And if Silkworm punched that guy in the face, you know, it's tough for me to think, mostly because we haven't seen enough, but something to think about as far as strength stats. But we've seen great fighting prowess, we've seen great, noticeable durability, noticeable strength. And again, I'm sorry these are so blurry, these are grabbed directly from the PDF. We see like a few hot-headed moments of Lonestar. He sucker punches one of his teammates and then kicks that same teammate later on, you know, pissed off at him. So he sucker punches him, kicks him. Both times the guy gets back up, and right there, that seems like a pretty full power hit. He was real upset, turns and whacks the guy, so you can only imagine. 1, caught him off guard, and 2, you know, putting his full power behind it. And the guy got back up and was ready to fight. And based on this comic, it seems like the rest of the crew is the same level of enhanced as Lonestar. They all seem to be part of the same group. So I'd imagine their power level is all about the same. So his hit and kick couldn't have put the guy down. Obviously not in one hit. Keep going. And then we see, out of both books, we really see the only act of vulnerability, which is Lonestar getting hit in the nuts by like a Dracula type character. Though he does get back up pretty soon after, and they keep fighting. And he, you know, has some silver stakes is fighting him, able to hold his own against a very skilled fighter like Dracula. So that's kind of what we've seen between these guys. And then also, Lonestar seems to have a fear sense, like he can smell fear and track down, you know, a target who's afraid, which won't really play into this fight too much, but something to note. Okay. So, the breakdown. Who do I think would win? And it might seem pretty obvious by how I was describing that. I thought it was a pretty good fight going up, and I do think it's a good fight overall. I think Lonestar has, I won't say more experience because we don't know the full breakdown of each character, but he seems to be more adept at combat. He's a better martial artist. He's holding his own against multiple opponents, holding his own against a very skilled opponent like Dracula, who's shown to be quite gifted martial arts. Obviously no slouch. He's knocking out that stranger in one punch, though he was not strong enough to knock out his other teammates in one punch, which is a trait he shares with Silkworm, as we see both him and Cuffs trading blows, and neither of them goes down. So you could say that either plays to a lack of offense or a really good defense. Now the difference would be the power levels shown throughout, I guess, the 3 books of Jawbreakers that we've seen, 2 released, 1 unreleased, and everything that I've been able to find. It seems that the comparability between Silkworm and Cuffs being physically stronger, they're closer than, say, like Lonestar and his other teammates. So Silkworm is closer to the power threshold of Cuffs, who are saying is the physically strongest, versus Lonestar. Now, again, we see Lonestar easily breaking bones, but we see Silkworm, single-handedly throwing guys straight through vehicles and smashing them to the ground, breaking the ground beneath them. So I'd say Silkworm is probably physically stronger than Lonestar, and with that said, he'd have to be physically more durable based on what we've said about Cuffs earlier and them fighting. So I'd say pure skill, I'd give it to Lonestar, but if you're going strength, durability, I'd probably go with Silkworm. I'd probably give Lonestar the speed edge as well, because fighting multiple opponents, if you can't rely on superhuman strength where he's just throwing guys around, then yeah, you gotta be faster and more skilled in that way. Now, as far as gunplay goes, both of these guys use guns, and whenever it comes to accuracy in comic books, I've always kind of had the same mentality, is whatever shot they need to hit, they'll hit it, right? Their accuracy is perfect. Whether you could say, oh, well, this character is the greatest marksman in like the DC universe. It's like, okay, but whoever it is, whoever the master marksman is, he's gonna hit whatever shot he needs to hit because, that's his job. So they're never gonna miss, is what I'm thinking. So I think the fight would probably start out using cover, the pillars throughout the map. I think they'd probably take shots at each other. I don't think it'd work. I could see Silkworm maybe flying over, making some silk contraption flying over, though I don't think it'd do him much good, but I think he could potentially close the gap. But again, I don't think he could trap Lonestar in any sort of silk cocoon. I think Lonestar would be able to break out. It doesn't seem to be super durable. And then it would go to hand-to-hand combat. Now, like I said, combat advantage goes to Lonestar, but he's put in this position where you have to ask, would he have enough firepower to put Silkworm down? And I think you look at the punch against Lonestar's teammate, was not able to knock him out. We see this Dracula character, and they seem to be pretty physically equivalent. One was not overpowering the other during their fight, and he was able to, hit him in the nuts and take him down for a few seconds. He's obviously susceptible to people his power level or stronger. And I think that Silkworm is mean enough, tough enough, strong enough to withstand his attacks. Now, basing that again on trading blows with Cuffs, as well as really throughout the story, you don't see Silkworm get beat up that much. Not that I've read, because he doesn't really get the shit kicked out of him. He more kicks the shit out of other people, throwing that guy through a car, smashing him to the ground. And we've only seen Lonestar get hit that once, admittedly. So So that's kind of a common theme between the two books. We don't see them get beat up too much. But in the end, despite the skill that Lonestar has, I don't think he has the power. This is kind of similar to the Knife Hands vs. Salamandroid fight. The speed and power conversation was pretty essential to it. But I think that Silkworm would win. I think he's got the strength. I think he's got the durability more than anything. I don't think Lonestar could quick enough take him down. Or, get the jump on him so fast that he could, beat the crap out of him. He doesn't have the power that's, at least not that been shown, the power to take him out effectively. So I'm going to say Silkworm takes that. Let me know what you guys think. If you got any other matchups, let me know. I'll see you guys in the next video.